highlight moments for me, I think Marshall scored a really good try for Wigan from a well-weighted, well-timed kick in one of, I would argue, the few real moments from Jackson Hastings in this game. He wasn't bad, but he didn't take control of the game, I would say. But that, you can't do that every time. Smith's drop goal was crucial and clutch as well from a young player making his way. He fluked a little bit, but I'm just talking until actually we need to talk about the right highlight moment, which was clearly Tom Johnston's try. It was just something else. It was what a leap to get it and a put down, and we learned after the game that Bevan French was carrying a bit of an injury, so I don't know if that impacted his defending it, but I don't see how he would have defended it even if he was fully fit, because Tom Johnston just did it perfectly. So many players that can do a lot of spectacular things, Sarah. I don't think that many players can do what Tom Johnston did here in this particular instance. And Gigo's kick to him was rather skillful too, the acute angle of it, the right sort of level that the attacking player could jump to get it, but the defending player wouldn't have that same opportunity. It was just an absolutely sensational try, and it did spur the comeback for Wakefield as well. Ultimately, they weren't quite good enough, and they'll be kicking themselves for what happened in the first half. But yeah, what a try!
I think Johnston's a phenomenal player for his scores. Yeah, as you say, I don't think there is another player like him, and he's very fortunate that he plays at the time that he does, and not when the corner flag was deemed to be out of play.
Yeah, that obviously helps, but I'm sure he's that skillful. I don't know, he might have been able to get around that too in some of these instances. It's amazing what he's doing.
Yeah,
and everyone sort of was concerned when he got injured early on. Tweeted from the Super League pod account that he's one of those players that no fan of Super League wants to see get injured, not just because he's been through those horrific knee injuries, but also because of what we can see him do. And he delivered later on in the game and made us all realise exactly how great he is.
You do worry that, is he just one more injury away from having, and therefore anytime he does get anything that looks like an injury, you worry, don't you?
You do, definitely. And I think compared to some other wingers, and maybe some other wingers even in this game, like, Liam Marshall did a lot of tough carries and exit sets in this game, for example, and you see it at Saints and other places where getting the set started, Jermaine McGilvery's made an England career off of his ability to start sets really well. For example, Johnston isn't doing as much of that part of the work. What happens is Bill Tupou alongside him does those tough exit set runs for him a lot of the time, because Johnston maybe doesn't have the body to take that punishment, but you want him to be preserved for these moments, because heck, these are the things we want to show people who don't love our sport about how great our sport is.
To be honest, if you needed wrapping up in cotton wool for 80 metres, I think most Wakefield fans would take that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
And then just bring them out for the last 10.
Yep. Let's move on to the last game of the weekend then, which was the first time Leeds Rhinos have been nilled at Headingley in the Super League against St Helens, who finished 48 points to nil winners in this one. It was 24-0 at half-time, so there was some wonderful symmetry there. And it was Chris Kendall's first appearance of the restart. In terms of the stats, obviously one-sided. Saints made 484 more metres at 1.6 metres per carry better average gain. They were pushing close to 9 metres per carry in that number. It was really impressive. 5 more breaks, more tackle busts, more successful offloads. They did make one extra error though. It wasn't all golden for St Helens. Individually, Regan Grace 3 tries, 9 tackle busts, 252 metres, 3 clean breaks. Alex Walmsley with a try assist, 6 tackle busts, 205 metres. Tommy Makinson a try, 192 metres and 2 clean breaks. And James Bentley, who I've been really impressed with since the resumption, 1 try assist, 53 tackles, 15 marker tackles and 2 clean breaks. For Leeds, Cameron Smith 52 tackles, Cruz Leeming 40 tackles, 16 of which were marker tackles, double efforts there from Cruz. Ash Hanley 7 tackle busts, 156 metres, 2 clean breaks, and Luke Briscoe 120 metres. What about the fan views?
So Carson got in touch and said, "Were Huddersfield that shit, or is St Helens that good?" The smile on Christian Wuss after Theo Farge's try said everything. Can we send Saints down under and bring the Cowboys up here because I would like to get that winning feeling back again.
Paige said, well, at least we weren't as shit as Leeds. Every cloud has a silver lining and all that.
Neil McEwen said, Tell got absolutely pumped tonight. Not sure where their salary cap is gone, but they've nerved back up when first team out. Alex Sutcliffe is poor. Rhys Evans is dog shit. Ash Hanley is wank at full back. But I did enjoy watching them get nilled, especially King Kev's face at full time. Saints look fantastic. Walmsley was brilliant.
Josh said, well, I've gone from fixing the ceiling to smashing up the coffee table because that was a painful game to watch. In the past 2 games, I've realised Pryor is a boxer, not a rugby player, because he doesn't know to not hit in the head. Yeah, he was bad for that, weren't he? Leeds were bad all around for that, I think. We were going to struggle in that game, and Saints gave us nothing, and we did not test them or show any ability to. Saints are above and beyond the rest of Super League, and Regan Grace is a robot. By the way, good to be back. Please, we're all good and safe, and if anyone has been affected, you have my thoughts and sympathy. Oh, thanks for that, Josh.
Fat by Rob. Catton FC, held my beer.
Yeah, when we're ranking the performances this weekend, by that last game, Saints went right to the top, and Leeds had a conversation with those other 2 about who should be at the bottom, that's for certain. St. David said, wow, just wow, the champions are well and truly out of lockdown. Steely defence and electrifying punishing attacks. So many good performances, but I'll go with Regan Grace as man of the match. Not often you see a hat-trick quite as good as that. Onwards. Yeah, Grace got the Man of Steel points, and the League Express Albert Goldthorpe points. Walmsley was another big performer, I think, in this game, but who didn't play well for Saints? I personally would have gone with Walmsley just over Grace for Man of the Match, but those 2 and so many more were excellent for Saints. And I'm gonna. I know you didn't watch the game, but you're gonna have to fill whilst I clear this vomit up. But yeah. It's sickening to have to praise them this much, Sarah. Yeah.
Well, you see, when I came out of church and I saw what the score was at that point, I thought, you know something, I can't face another one-sided match.
They wouldn't have even cheered you up that it was Leeds getting the hammer in.
No.
It's too many bad memories. Yeah. Leeds were not good. Leeds' discipline was really poor. I don't think there was. I think players still tried. I think Ash Hanley isn't a fullback; he's a winger, but he put a lot of effort in. He just couldn't do what you need a fullback to do in the current game. I don't think. Cruz Leeming worked really hard, but he had nothing to work with going forward. Luke Gale was massively absent. It's obvious to say, but he was massively absent. I mean, you talk about some of the Leeds players that weren't there because of injuries or whatever, and they lost Alex Mellor early in the game as well. That was harsh on them, but it's the people who were in the game who went missing. Gale should have been doing more. He had the young kid McClellan next to him. You would have thought it was his chance to sort of further cement his ownership and leadership of this team, but actually McClellan probably tried to do more with the ball in this game.
But last week, I know that Gale suddenly, woke up and probably was instrumental in beating Huddersfield, but the rest of the match I thought he was awful last week, so it doesn't surprise me that he didn't really do a lot.
Yeah, and Saints aren't going to give you that same comeback opportunity that Huddersfield did, because Huddersfield are a side growing, whereas Saints are a side that are already at the top, and it's a different kettle of fish when you go and play a side that's already at the top, I think. But there were things for Leeds to say. This team was shifted around a lot. They didn't have some of the best players on there. They've really got some question marks about what they're doing with these over 30 Aussie forwards. Is it really what they should be doing? Could they start looking at maybe it's certainly not time to throw the season in, because we'll talk about the table in a minute, but some youthful enthusiasm in the forward pack may be of assistance, I think, for Leeds alongside some of these older heads. Might be the way I'd look to go personally. But in terms of highlight moments, Coots' deserved try from Walmsley's storming break at the end was good. And whilst I think Walmsley would have just pipped Grace for man of the match, it's because Grace only did 3 things in the game, but the 3 things he did were absolute sparkling highlight moments of the highest degree, and it's one of the best executed hat-tricks you're going to see. I mean, him in the open field with just a couple of men to be, it's how he wants to be. He's got that really quick short speed that you see from other players around the league like Liam Marshall or Adam Swift, and then he's got that really good long speed that you see from other players around the game, like I don't know, like a Joe Burgess or Josh Adokar down under, who's a sparkling example of 100-metre speed. And Grace has got both of it, which not a lot of other players have. And he really used that to great effect here. He hadn't scored all season and then goes and scores 3. So well done to Regan Grace for that. And Alex Walmsley was an absolute monster. Absolute monster.
Excellent.
Shall we go through the standings then?
Yep. So we're going to move back to top on 10 points with a group of 6 all on 8 points behind them. St Helens head that group after a big points difference boost this week. Warrington are next. 4th place Leeds, 5th place Catalans and 7th place Huddersfield all have 8 points from just 6 games. Castleford sit amongst them too. In 6th, Hull FC have 6 points and are the only side to have played 8 times. Wakefield and Salford have 4 points and Rovers stay bottom on 2 points.
Stat line of the week has to be Regan Grace. How can it not be, with 3 tries, 9 tackles, 252 metres, 3 clean breaks. Most of those metres were on those 2 breakaway tries, but you don't. There's no criticism of that. It was absolutely electrifying. Player of the week for me, I'd go with Tuilola here. I think that the story around him kind of picks it up more for me. You know, the idea going back to Headingley, where he was discarded after not really being given much opportunity to show his best stuff, and just turning up there and absolutely bossing that game and being absolutely outstanding. I'd go with him for player of the week, maybe because Saints being dominant is less surprising than Salford doing so. And my highlight of the week was Tom Johnson's try. With the fact that he had a bad arm as well, it just pushes it over the top of the other ones for me. But Regan Grace deserves special mention in that too. What did you have for player of the week and highlight of the week?
Full time. Player of the week, I think probably Lola here. Just everything he touched was lovely.
Now I have to feel whilst you clean up the sick.
Well, I've been complimentary towards Rovers, haven't I, this week?
See, that's the thing, you see. Super League Pod, we try and bring balance.
Highlight of the week, it's really hard when your team has played so badly. Do you know what I mean? And I think when there's been so many blowout wins as well.
Yeah, you made me feel like sometimes some of the nice tries in the blowout wins were kind of easier than if it was a close game. Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, one of Warrington's tries was nice, but it happened in the second half and I've lost track of who it was and when it was, or, you know, and really, you know, some of Salford's tries were really well worked. But again, you know, in 54 points, I'm not quite sure I could tell you which one it was.
Well, we could say the highlight was that when Hull FC took the lead and we saw Sarah and Joshua going crazy on the couch.
Better than when Salford went the length of the field and you saw me in deepest despair.
Like we said, balance.
Okay.
In terms of the predictions, I went 5 for 5. Tim went 4 for 5 this week from last week's predictions. In terms of the Superoo, I'm the top and wear the yellow cap thanks to that 5 for 5. Alan's second, Tim's third, and Scoots is fourth. In the Super Brew, Steve Pye stays top, but St David is wearing the yellow cap and is a big riser, up 14 spots. In the Fantasy League, Alan Bagley stays top. Joe Newman had the best score with a very impressive 697 points from 5 games. That's fantastic. So
Very
well
good.
done to Joe and everyone else who started to score again. Now that we've remembered, we need to reset our size. Whilst Alan took the leap on us for another week before that. But thanks to everyone for the fan views on those games. Lots of good ones and lots of insight to how you're spending the weekend, Paige and Tom. And we're now going to move on to other results.